Should amateur dancers get paid to dance? That's the question. This is episode 14 of Swing to the Rhythm. My name is Gilbert, here with D'Amico Dance. This is Damon, longtime dancers here in Houston, Texas, and also traveling across the United States, teaching and performing at different comps and at different dance events. We polled our Facebook audience. We had over 150 comments on our question. In one day, in 24 hours. And we want to hear from you, your thoughts. We're about to share our thoughts. If this is your first time checking out our episodes, well, thank you for your interest in dance, because dance will change your life. It's changed my life. It's changed Damon's life, and we've seen it change a number of people's lives. So thank you for tuning in. Once again, we have a number of digital products. So if you've seen our previous videos, we have our master classes, our crash courses, and also our bundles. So definitely check those out, description below. So Damon, this is a question that I think is very controversial based on the comments. And the reason why it's so controversial is, I think, because it's a cross-section between not just money, but also standards, and also a lot of different opinions and thoughts about where's the line between an amateur and their expertise and their talent, and also their skill set, and to be able to teach. One of our previous episodes, we did discuss fake dance instructors. And the reason why we came across this question about amateurs is because we were watching TikTok videos, and there are a lot of TikTok...
Careful, Gilbert.
Well, there are a lot of TikTok dance instructors out there.
Yeah, there are.
That are monetizing and making money off of their videos, and even making money off of teaching lessons. And so I think that there's an element of due diligence with who you hire related to dance lessons.
Yes.
We're going to get into more details here, but let's go ahead and start off with the question. What is an amateur dancer? Where do we draw a line between an amateur and a pro? And then let's go ahead and move on to the next question once we kind of address that starting point.
Well, you act like that first question is the easy question. It's probably the hardest one. It's probably the hardest one. And the reason why I say that, it's in the eye of the beholder a lot, isn't it? You know, so it's like the person that's taking the dance lesson. So we've mentioned in previous episodes that we're all about you becoming a dance instructor. We don't have a problem with you becoming a dance instructor, but you mentioned due diligence a minute ago. If you're going to be a dance instructor, we feel like that you should go through the process of learning. You should be under somebody's tutelage. They should bring you up under many people's tutelage. They should bring you up. And you should have a certain knowledge base about what it is you're presenting in order to be a teacher. And I'm not saying that amateur dancers don't have a place in teaching. I'm not saying that amateur dancers don't have a place in receiving money to teach. And I used to say this all the time, and I'll say it now. If you're the best teacher in your area, and there's not some high-level teacher, high-level pro in your area, and you're passing on the word of dance to your community and trying to grow a community, we want you to do that. I want you to do that. I believe you want them to do that. And I feel like you should get paid to do that. And so I'll go right out of the box and say that I don't think you have to have a certain number of credentials in order to get paid for teaching dance. And so we asked the question, and because I think we've done some controversial things in the past, I believe a lot of people immediately thought that we took offense to amateur dancers, when really we were just posing the question this time. We were just posing the question, and we got some really great comments.
We did.
You know, we got really great comments on both sides. You know, and some of what I am going to say is going to upset some people. I always do. And it's going to be a little controversial. You know, some of what I'm going to say, I'm sure, is going to be that way. I just hope that people out there teaching are taking classes, are learning what it is to become a teacher, and are able to then take somebody who's paying you for a lesson and say, this is why your spin isn't working. Well, if you're an amateur dancer and you don't know what your own turn technique is, and I'll just choose spinning as one example because there are many, many examples, okay? I'll choose spinning as an example. If your spins aren't great as an amateur dancer, I'm not sure why it is you think you can teach somebody else how to spin. And so, you know, that's a problem. And so I would think that as an amateur dancer, amateur teacher, that you would run into these situations where you feel a little embarrassed about taking people's money if you can't produce the goods. You know, can you take somebody who's having struggle spinning and teach them how to spin effectively, you know, and have them spin well? And so I think that has a lot to do with your own dancing, your own understanding. A lot of things that were said in the comments are also true, that the best dancers are not always the best teachers. We see it all the time. And there are a lot of dancers out there that are great dancers that don't want to teach and also don't feel like they're the greatest teachers. But they have this natural ability to dance, and they can't even necessarily explain what it is they're doing. Well, if you can't explain what you're doing as a great dancer, you're not going to be a great teacher. Bottom line, that's how it is. The other part that's going to be controversial is that here in America, and other people have heard me talk about this before, we are becoming a land of mediocrity. It's just the truth. And it's my opinion. It's my truth. It may not be your truth. But we're giving hall passes to people doing things lesser than. And so for the sake of not making anybody feel bad because we're being so politically correct, you know, we're rewarding people for being subpar or mediocre. That doesn't happen all the time. There were people in the comment section that said, let them have fun, let them dance. If they want to make money, you know, teach and dance, let them make money. Someone else in the comment section came back to some of those people and said, if you hired a repairman to come and fix your dryer and they weren't able to fix the dryer and you realized right away that that person was trying to have you pay them for a service that they really weren't good at and couldn't provide, do you have an opinion then? The answer is yes, you do. So you're really choosing dance as a way to say, no, it doesn't matter how anybody dances. Meanwhile, we're watching Dancing with the Stars, and everybody at home has become a judge, and your favorite couple isn't being rewarded for really good dancing, and that other couple, the judges, and you thought, wow, they didn't dance very well. Why are they being rewarded over this other couple? But yet when you turn around and pay for dance lessons for yourself, or you watch these people online and you're like, oh, go with God, have fun. They should get paid and they can be a teacher. So why is there a double standard? Do we not want excellence? The other thing that I want to mention is we're professional dancers. So of course our opinion is going to be different from amateur dancers because we've gone through the trials, the troubles,
the hundreds,
and,
thousands
and
of
the
hours,
dollars, and the travel, and everything that we've done to try to make ourselves the best possible teachers we can be. And then people out there in the comment section are acting like everybody who's done zero training, hasn't gone through any of the trouble that we've gone through to become the professional dancers that we are, and many of the other people in the comment sections and professional dancers elsewhere don't have a right to say that amateur dancers shouldn't be teachers until they own their stuff. You know, so there's quite a lot of different angles on this. I think it's the reason why immediately we got 150 comments is because people are passionate about it on both sides.
Yes.
A lot of it has to do with the customer. A lot of it has to do with the student, you the student. So again, right now, it's become so easy for any service you want provided, any restaurant you go to, you'll go to Yelp or you'll go to one of the other platforms, you'll go to Google and you'll say, hey, best rated, and you'll look for best rated. You know, and so you're looking for better quality. And then you go to a dance instructor that's 3 minutes down the street who doesn't know what they're doing over the dance instructor that's 3 minutes down the street who does know what they're doing. So a lot of times that has to do with the student, the customer themselves, not vetting that pro.
The due diligence aspect
their due
of
diligence
it.
aspect of it. Yeah, exactly.
And you said a lot of great things that covered a lot of different topics and nuances in teaching and also in dancing. And going back to one of the things you said about these amateur line dancers that are out there, or even amateur swing dancers, or whatever dance style you want to call it, that are posting videos and they gain a lot of traction online. They're getting hundreds of thousands of views, millions of views, hundreds of thousands of followers. They're monetizing, and they are making these deals where they're getting paid to go out to do workshops and different events, and they're going to country dance halls and teaching.
For the ones that are doing that online, that aren't being hired, because there's more of those than there are being hired, right? I say kill it. I mean, should you take pride in your own dancing? Yes. Should you look like you have some dance ability? Yes. Sure. I mean, I think if you're going to do that. But that's one of those examples where if people like what you're doing because they like your personality, or they like the song, or they like the dance, so be it. And people are voting with their views, not necessarily with their dollars. Now, the person is getting dollars, but they're voting with their views. When it comes to a dance event hiring someone like that because they're an influencer or whatever, they're hoping that that person's influence is going to bring more people to their event, which it is not. In most cases, it is not. They are not actually putting butts in the seats, but event directors are funny about who they hire, whatever. So a lot of times the responsibility falls on the promoter and the event director. Are you making the right choice in who you're hiring? And did you vet them properly? Or are you simply looking at how many followers they have? Because now you're propping them up as a professional when they never even claimed to be a professional.
Right. And then from there, it's a spiral.
It's a spiral.
And I'm glad you said that, because that's kind of what I was getting at, is that in the due diligence, you gotta understand why you're hiring this person. Are you there for entertainment? You also mentioned personality, which it is dancing. It's a very visual, artistic aspect to it. So then that could be a part of it. Or maybe they are really great at business, or they're really great at
the biggest part of it.
Or they're really great at marketing.
That's right.
Or they have charisma, any of that stuff.
Absolutely. And they have the follower base or whatever.
They have the follower base.
And if their follower base is going to show up at your event, that's one thing.
Yep.
But why are you hiring somebody who's an influencer if you're not going to get any of their followers to show up at your event? And that falls on the lack of marketing for dance events. Because what you could do is they could do real marketing. Dance events aren't doing real marketing. And so if they were doing real marketing, they could be like, oh, we're bringing in such and try to use their draw. And instead, they're coming out of pocket with money to hire this person who has an online presence, who's not a professional dancer, and they're not getting any butts in their seats.
Thinking that's going to happen.
It's just magically going to happen.
Yeah.
That they're going to have a whole bunch of people show up.
Right. Right. There's a disconnect. And I think as D'Amico Dance, as Damon and I have worked for the last 4 months in expanding our marketing systems, we've really understood just how much effort is required in correctly and properly marketing to a business
in general, but the dance business especially.
The dance business in general, yeah. And so for the people that it's a great aspiration to have, that you want to get your name out there, that you want to become an instructor. But I definitely think going back to the structures that need to be in place to formalize that training.
Right.
And so for an amateur that has that desire, and I know we've covered some of this in a previous episode, but for the amateurs that truly want to become a dance instructor, there are dance studios out there that can provide them and help them with training.
Somewhat.
I
mean, if they're going to be hired by a chain studio, they could be hired by an independent studio. If they're going to be hired by a chain studio, there's going to be some sense of loyalty in either paying for that training, or they're going to be expected to stay on board and be an instructor for that studio. And that's not what most of these are looking for. One is they don't want to spend the money to get the training. Two is they don't want to be handcuffed to a studio where they don't actually want to be. So they'd be, obviously they'd like to get the training, but they'd like to get it for free. And they want to go out and make their own money and not give the bulk of the money to the studio, which is going to happen if they go to work for a dance studio.
As a mentorship process.
Yeah, exactly. So that's not necessarily easy. And that was one of the comments. Well, where do they, and that I thought was really interesting. They said, where do they go to become a pro? And the answer to that seems like it's simple, but for people that don't know, go seek it out. Who do you enjoy watching? Hopefully you're enjoying watching a pro, because you can see the difference in the quality of movement. You know what I mean? And quality of movement is such a big thing when it comes to this, because if you're a professional dancer, your quality of movement should be good. But people with bad quality of movement are being rewarded in dance right now, especially in West Coast swing.
Yep.
They're being rewarded.
And then we can't say anything.
And then we can, but we're the bad guy for saying it.
That's
just because we expect there to be a standard.
Yeah.
And so people would like to get rid of standard. People are wanting that. They're proving all the time that they don't care about standard. They just go, everybody, do what you want. Our little video that we did about line dancing, you may have seen that reel that we did, and I was making fun of girls dancing with their legs apart and being squatty on their rock steps with their toes turned in and stuff. I mean, that's not acceptable. And you're like, what do you mean? Who are you to judge? I'm a freaking judge. What do you mean, who am I to judge? I'm a professional dancer. And you are watching the same people on Dancing with the Stars and going, no, that wasn't as good as that. And then we say something about some girl that's dancing unbecoming. And yes, I have the right to say that. And he has the right to say that. And you ought to be saying it yourself. But, let's not ruffle any feathers, because I don't understand the double standard, triple standard, quadruple standard. I don't understand it.
Right.
It's like, and I don't know why girls would want to dance unattractively. And they're like, well, what if they think that's attractive? Well, if they think that's attractive, something's messed up in their head. That's the honest part.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all gonna be mad at me? I love y'all. Don't be mad at me. We want y'all to be better dancers, and we work really, really hard to create better dancers.
Yep.
And the better dancers and the better lives that we're creating are brain to body related. And so we want people to think about the finite detail. I want my foot like this instead of like this because it makes a difference in how it looks.
Yep.
It also connects your brain to your body, and you start to receive all of the benefits that dance actually has to offer. And that is not the case when you're not thinking about how you want your foot to land and your toe just accidentally lands turned in. The brain to body connection is not the same. And so because what we're doing is all encompassing and we want everybody to receive all of the benefits of dance, we're not willing to stop at the surface and just say, dance however you want and have fun.
Right.
Besides the fact that a lot of times that poor dancing is at the expense of your partner. So people aren't taking that into consideration. I totally understand that. I understand that because you don't understand all facets of it because you're not, deep diving into dance the way we are and some of the dancers that are watching this are. So if you're just a casual observer, of course you're going to be okay with how people dance.
Sure.
Until you're not. And then you're very opinionated about what you don't like when you're watching, Dancing with the Stars or something like that. But it's not okay for us to say. Well, we're going to say it anyway.
And one of the things about dancing, the hundreds and thousands of hours we've spent dancing, teaching people to dance, working on the basics, working on technique, choreography, all of that stuff, it's helped me have a deeper appreciation for other pros in different fields and in different industries because I can connect it. I understand. Like in tennis or in basketball or in football or mixed martial arts, whatever it is.
Right.
I just have, I look at them and then I truly understand. I'm all like, dang, that must have took years to get that down right.
Right. And we used to reward excellence and we've become the land of mediocrity and we're okay with it. Some of us aren't. High achievers are not okay with that.
No.
High achievers are not okay with mediocrity, and so for the high achievers out there, whoop, whoop, we appreciate you because there's a standard and we want to achieve a certain excellence, Right. As far as the money thing goes, the money argument got thrown out the window a long time ago because it's different across different dance genres. You can't use that as an example anymore. As I mentioned before, if you're the best one in your area, you should be allowed to get paid for your services because you're providing information that other people can't get. And especially if you're a teacher in your area and the only ones in your area, as long as you strive to be better, and when your students ask you questions, you say, you know what, I'm not 100% sure about that, but I'm going to check in with my coaches, and I'll get back to you and let you know how that works, instead of making some stuff up, which is what's actually happening. They're just making stuff up and talking out of their ass, and acting like they know some stuff, and then that person can't dance, and then they got all these students that can't dance. I want you to think about legacy. Are people in the future going to look at the people that you taught how to dance and go, wow, those dancers are great, I wonder where they learned? Or better yet, are they going to look at those dancers and say, wow, those dancers are great, I can tell they were trained by this particular pro? I mean, what kind of feather in your cap is that? When you're creating legacy, you're actually passing on something to someone that's attractive and impressive as compared to just doing it for fun. And for those of you that are doing it out there at the club that don't care and you're line dancing, you don't have a partner involved, knock yourself out. Go, you can dance however you want. We want to express yourself. I mean, I sit at the floor and cheese all night, smiling my cheeks hurt watching people do some of the silliest stuff. I'm not mad at them. I'm glad they're dancing. But let's understand that there's different aspects to this and there's different levels to this. And so if we're talking about people that are trying to be better at dance, that are being snookered by someone's pretending to be a dance instructor, we don't like that. And so the paid part is, you can't use that as the example anymore. I mean, people get paid to do stuff that they have no knowledge of all the time. So we can't single out dance and act like that. That's the thing. And country tried to do it. If you received a certain amount of income through teaching, then you were no longer considered an amateur, and there's no governing body. There's nobody checking that.
It's like self-check.
It's like honor system type stuff anyway. So it's kind of BS anyway. You know what I mean? And then if you're an amateur and you're getting rewarded in the form of scholarship, they'll call it scholarship, which a lot of times is in the form of a check that's written out to your pro. Isn't that dollars? That's still dollars. So in ballroom, they would do scholarship, and they would write the pro a check because of the student's accomplishment. And so it paid for future lessons. It's the same thing. It's still money. So it's a sticky situation, whatever. And so you can't just say, oh, if they get paid, they're a pro, because that is not true. And now college athletes are getting paid, and they're still considered amateur. So I mean, there are a lot of industries that kind of help set that standard. So I don't think we can just say, if you get paid, you're a pro. The question is, should you get paid? Should you get paid?
Should you get paid?
And that's where the students have to go. I didn't receive any value for that, but a lot of students tend to stay with those instructors that don't give them the same value that they could get elsewhere from a more seasoned professional. The other thing is, you should probably, as an amateur dancer, amateur instructor, you can do what you want. Obviously, we're not going to affect. Maybe we affect a couple of you and make you want to be better at your craft and think about legacy if you haven't thought about that before. But some of these amateur dancers are out there charging as much or more than the highest level pros in that genre.
Yep.
And they're just being really brazen about it. They're being so bold and getting out there and being like, I'm going to charge you $140 for 45 minutes. And they can't spin and can't teach anybody how to spin. And someone's paying it. Well, whose fault is it? Well, both of theirs. It's both of their fault. It's not just the instructor's fault, right?
Yeah. Ultimately, like in any other industry, I think that the market will sort it out, hopefully. But it's not always going to be the case. Yeah.
We've seen too much of that around here.
Yeah.
I'm glad I remembered to say this. One of the other big breakdowns are the nightclubs, because the nightclubs don't care. They don't care if the dance lessons are righteous.
They're just
at all.
Whatever.
At all. They don't care. What they care is about putting bodies in the building. That is what you're supposed to be worried about. You could do both. And that's what I've said to most of the clubs. I've been doing nightclub consulting since '89, more like '88. That's what I've been saying. I was like, yeah, you can hire any jackleg labor dance instructor you want. Are you going to build regular customers? Probably not. Probably not. Some, yes. And they'll come out and they'll line dance or whatever. But if you're not building something systematically where people buy into the idea and they strive for excellence and they want to be better, and it keeps them coming back, because they get to learn more and they get to learn more. And why do they do that? Well, because they're seeing progress. So when you hire just any dance instructor off the street for these nightclub dance lessons or whatever, they're not able to offer enough value for people to gain enough success to make the drug work for them, dance drug work for them,
and keep coming back.
And so, but the dance club owners, they don't care. They're just worried about selling drinks and getting bodies in the building,
and they don't realize it.
That's what they're after. They do now, because I've told them all in our market. Now, not in other markets, but that's why they don't like me. Some of them, they like me and don't like me. I'm okay. I'm okay with me. But they should be, there are dance instructors that are worthy of being the instructor. Well, why won't they go out and seek out the better instructors to teach at their club? Well, because they're cheap. Rattle off some real numbers, but we're talking about, I'll just give a window. At the clubs that are making it around the Houston area, and there's 9 or 10 country bars around the suburbs of Houston, the mediocre ones are doing $50,000 a week plus in liquor. And this is not a made-up number. I've been entertainment director for several of the clubs around here. And they can't afford a dance instructor that's going to build them a regular client base. They do everything they can to cheat the dance instructor and the DJs. Everything they can to pay them as little as possible.
Well, also, they don't really keep up with their dance hall.
No.
Sometimes they
it's
don't.
Kind of like if you build it, they will come scenario.
Yeah.
So
their marketing.
They're not a whole lot. And that, it's like, and I'm not in a nightclub teaching anymore for 3 years now or more, whatever, because I don't want to be a part of something mediocre. I think that you can be a special nightclub and create a family, like a dance family, a community that are your regular customers that are with you through the slow season and the busy season, on top of all of the other business that you get and the marketing that you should be doing. And they can learn how to dance, and they will be lifelong customers because they learned how to dance there, and because their dancing continues to grow, and they're not seeing the difference. So they're willing to settle for being mediocre and just, everybody show up, nobody's driving this thing,
right,
instead of creating something special. And we've had that specialness here at clubs in the Houston area before. That's now gone.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels very just generic.
2 and 2 together, that it's because they don't have a real dance instructor building that community for them. They're not rewarding the instructors for doing that.
They see it more as a cost rather than as an investment.
As an investment, as a promotion. They've never treated dance lessons like a promotion.
That's crazy to think of.
They're
a dance hall, and yet they think...
Who's going to be their regular customer? They're dancers.
So that you would think that they would build relationships with their dancers,
Yeah. And that's not happening.
but yet it's more about the liquor. Well, it's more about the nightclub aspect of
And
it.
of course, they have to do that. But when I talk to them, largely, they have this innate belief that if they're going to focus on that, their returns are going to be lesser. I don't know why they feel that way. Because you could be special and have both, but they have a tendency usually to feel like that's not the case.
That if they build a relationship with the
That if
dancers,
they really focus on the dancing and that's
gonna mess
more their
up
focus,
this other
that
stuff.
somehow is going to take away from what else they're doing. I mean, even when we did dance contests, I probably hosted more bar comps than anybody, but it's like when we did dance contests, whatever, all the owners want to do is say, oh, well, how long is the dance contest going to take? And I'm like, well, we spent the time and energy to market this. We did. They didn't do a lot.
No.
To market this dance competition.
Right.
And it brought in extra business. And the extra business came in because they came expecting a dance contest. And yet you're like, hey, hurry up and end it. 2 songs and then get them off the floor and let's get back to what we were doing before. There was nothing special about what you were doing before. The special was the contest. It's why you had increased business. And then you want to rush the people doing the dance contest. Now, dance contests can run too long and kill your groove, for sure. But if the excitement and the energy is there because the contest is being run well by someone who really knows how to run a contest, it becomes an attribute. It becomes something special that the people want to come back for. It's like the next time they do a contest, man, that was amazing. Whatever. It was better than just a regular night. But they're like wanting to rush us off the dance floor and act like we're taking too long because we did 3 songs. It's very messed up. But that's not the business they're in. We have to remember, and I will give club owners a hall pass, they're not in the dance business. They're in the liquor business. But if you want to build regular customers so your bottom line is more consistent throughout the year, every year, then you're going to have more dancers because that's who your clientele is. I believe that some amateur dancers should be paid. If I had my way, I would say that amateur dancers that are trying to be better instructors should get paid. And amateur dancers that are taking people's money and not offering value should not be paid. But that's not for me to decide. I mean, that's what I would like. That's really up to the people who are not getting value for the dollars that they're spending and voting with their dollars. And moving on to an instructor that can actually provide value instead of feeling like they're beholden in some way to the first one they reached out to, which is how dance instructors tend to make people feel. Oh, well, don't go take from this other one, whatever. And that really should be about value. You're exchanging dollars for value.
Yeah, and from what I understood, what I heard from the information we shared and from the comments, it sounds like, the barriers to entry for dance instruction are very low. So anybody that has a little bit of talent and that has some charisma and nice personality, they're friendly, they're outgoing. It sounds like these talented, up and coming dancers, there's always going to be a space for them to teach. But again, going to Damon's point, will you actually get value from them? And we hope that they stick with it and persevere through all of the lessons that it takes to become a great instructor. Just keep at it.
And be a great instructor. Be great.
Be great.
Be great.
We hope that this episode inspires you to continue working at it and to develop the experience and the training and the hours that it takes to become a great instructor.
And also for the students out there to spend your dollars wisely. Get value. If you're not getting value, if you're not getting better, if you're taking a few lessons from somebody and you're not improving and you're actually trying, because there's that too, because people take lessons and then don't go and do what they were told and then act like the lesson didn't work. That's on you. So that's accountability. So it's like if they're giving you information, you're actually trying to execute that information and it's not working and you should ask questions. That's what you should be doing. You're spending money. You should be asking questions. You're like, that's not working for me. I don't understand. How should my foot be? You're like, when you go into your next lesson, ask somebody to teach you how to do a spinning left side pass and a spinning right side pass in West Coast swing. And if that teacher cannot get you spinning to the left and spinning to the right, well, spend your dollars somewhere else.
Thank you, everybody, for watching episode 14 of Swing to the Rhythm. Should amateur dancers get paid? Make sure to check the description below for all of our products and stay tuned for future episodes where we discuss past, present, and future trends of West Coast swing and country western dancing. Take care.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Really, we appreciate your views. We really do. We want to talk about things that make people talk about it. We want this to be discussions that we're having. So go to the D'Amico Dance page on Facebook, and you're going to see a lot of our other posts. And you'll be able to tell there that, oh, these questions, we'll get in the comment section and put your opinion in there. We'd love to hear it. Also, feel free to shoot us any suggestions that you have on topics that you'd like to hear more about. We'd love to talk about those for you. And as Gilbert said, you can always find all of our stuff either on our website, DamicoDance.com, or go to our link tree. It's D'Amico Dance as well. And you'll find a whole list of our products there. But thank you guys so much for watching.
Thanks, everybody.